Hello and welcome to Elephant and Roses. My name is Katie. Today I'm going to show you how to make fruit cobbler. It's a really simple recipe, really easy to do. I inherited the initial recipe from the ladies of my family, and I've tweaked and modified it over the years. So this is my modified version of it, so hopefully you enjoy. It's a great way to use up any fruits that are in the house that need to get burned up, you know, the peaches that go way too fast, or the pears that go too fast, or the berries, or anything else. And it works great with frozen fruit as well, so if you don't have any fresh that's going and you've got frozen stuff you need to get rid of, works great for that too. So definitely recommend this recipe for any and all fruits. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll get right to it. So I'm going to go to the overhead shot and I'm going to show you all the ingredients you need for this recipe. So to start with, we're going to have 2 cups of your berries. In this case, we're using some frozen berries I've got, which is a 3-berry medley, which is blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries, so that'll be really good. It also works with apples, peaches, pears, anything. So any fruit you've got in the house that needs to be used, whether it's frozen or fresh, it works both ways. We've got 1 cup of flour. You're going to find 1 cup is the common theme today. So 2 cups of fruit, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of sugar, and 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not baking soda, baking powder. And this is a 1/4 cup or a half a stick. It's the same thing. It's a 1/4 cup is a half a stick of butter melted in. I recommend doing this either in your oven while you're preheating at 350 degrees. The problem with that is then your pan is super hot and you risk burning yourself. If you're a newbie, please do not do it in the oven unless you're really super comfortable pulling hot things out and working with them. And I'd much rather you do it in the microwave. It's much safer. That's a modification I made besides the baking powder, is do it in the microwave. You get a better result. Just do it slowly. Usually there's a melt button on the microwave for butter. It's usually called like softened butter or something like that. Use that feature. It's one of your features in your microwave. Use it, you'll get the butter. There might be a little bit left on the bottom, not completely melted, that's fine. You just need it so that it's liquid like this, and you just need it so that it spreads across the whole bottom, and we'll show why in here in a second, okay? So I'm going to start the recipe, and I've got a big bowl here, and it's real easy, and there's no particular order. So I'm putting in my flour. I'm going to put in my sugar next. I'm just going to put in the dry ingredients first. That usually works better for me than just sticking the wet right in, because then it kind of makes it so I can make sure everything gets mixed really well. Our baking powder, and I'm going to put this under the camera. I'm just going to mix this all together so it looks really good and is incorporated. You can substitute honey for the white sugar if you want, and how that works is it's 1-to-2 ratio. So half of whatever you have for your sugar is what you need for honey. So in this case, you put in a 1/2 cup of honey, and it's really good. If you've got really, really sweet fruit, like it's really sweet, don't use the full cup. Cut it back to like 3/4 of a cup, because that fruit's going to really make it overpoweringly sweet. So that's a word to the wise. Now I'm just going to pour in that milk. I'm going to make sure I get all of the milk out. Just give it a good scrape. I use whole milk. I was raised on whole milk. I use whole milk for everything. I use butter for everything too. I find butter gives everything a better taste. If it's not in your budget, please use really good margarine. It works just as good with margarine. I had to, for years, use just straight margarine because that was the only thing in the budget. It's not as healthy for you as butter is, but it's a dessert, so, you know, you can get away with it. So please stick within your budget. If you're a newbie baker, it's, you know, don't go out and buy anything fancy. I'm just using a rubber scraper to mix this. Works great. You usually can find these pans, which are 8x8s, pretty reasonable. New, they're probably $4. If you go to a thrift store, etc., you probably could get them for around $1 to $2 each. this is one tool that I always found really helpful, is to have these 8x8 baking pans handy, and that's what we're using today, is an 8x8. You just need a square pan that's 8x8. 9x9 will work. Some of the older pans are 9x9. Mine is 8x8. So now we're gonna drop in our fruit, and my mixed berries is getting to the bottom of the bag, so I just want to get them used up. When you have frozen fruit, always at the bottom of the bag is, especially if it's blackberries and raspberries, you tend to get all these little bits and pieces, and you'll never notice in this. You'll see when it's all done. It comes together really fast, and it's a great way to burn up the bottom of the bag of that frozen fruit, because you don't want to have anything go to waste. Groceries are so expensive right now, especially here in the United States. I don't know about other countries, but in the US they're really expensive right now. Okay, so now hopefully this gets caught on the camera well, and I don't get my head in there. And you're just gonna pour this in, and you're just gonna make sure. Again, I was raised to always scrape bowls. If you're using a fruit like peaches, apples, etc., you're not going to put the fruit directly into the batter before you pour it in. You're going to put the batter in the pan first, and then you're going to top it with the fruit on top, so it looks pretty. In this case, I was using bits and pieces of frozen fruit, so it worked out okay to do it this way. But if you're doing it with like peaches or anything like that, you're going to put the batter in first, and then you're going to put the frozen fruit on top. So now what you're going to do is you're going to put this in a 350-degree oven, and you're going to bake it for 45 to 60 minutes. And the reason for the big change is because of what fruit you got. If you got something like berries like I've got, you're going to want to start checking in about 45 minutes. If you're doing something like apples or some hard fruit like that, you want it to go like 55 to 60 minutes, check it. Always don't be tempted to crank up the heat or anything like that, or do anything crazy. Everything's set. Yeah, I know there's a little bit more butter over here, but underneath that butter is the fruit mixture, because it kind of evens itself out, so don't worry about that. And then you want to check it, just like I showed my lemon loaf cake recipe. You want to put your fork in, and you want a little, or your toothpick, or whatever you're checking it with, you want a little bit of the cake to stick to it. And when it does, pull it out, let it cool completely. You don't want to over bake it, because it's going to still cook after you pull it out, because it's still at 350 degrees. You can serve it warm. Usually when it's warm, I found that you put a toothpick in and pull it out, it still comes out clean. If you want to serve it warm, it's really good with ice cream. You can also serve it with Cool Whip or whipped topping. I showed my last recipe how you can avoid using like Cool Whip and using just real whipping cream. So definitely check out that video with the berry shortcake. I show exactly how to make whipped topping really fast and easy, just using whipping cream. So definitely recommend that. I will be back as soon as this is done baking, and I will show you the final product. Thank you. The cobbler's done. As you can tell, it's got really good color. I always love doing it in glass pans. I'm putting it on the overhead now so you can see it from that angle as well. It's nice and done. If I poke the fork in, perfectly clean. So it's perfectly done. I pull it out when, as I said in my lemon loaf cake, when it sticks to the tines. And then I just let it cool and let it finish. Again, if you're doing like fruit like apples or pears or peaches, you want to pour the batter in first, and then you want to do a nice design with it. With berries, you can just mix it all together and then pour it in like I did. Unless you're going for some design, in which case you could make something with the blueberries and the strawberries and the raspberries and make a really cool design that way. So I'm going to cut it so you can see what it looks like. It's really moist. Again, this is a great way to, you know, use up all those fruits you've got in your house that are going, or you got something like I did where, you know, it's the bottom of the bag of the frozen fruit where it's all the bits and pieces. And then I'll just scoop out. As you can tell, it just comes right out like butter. It's real easy to pull it out. Put it up on this other camera as well. It looks really good. I'm gonna put it on the overhead camera so you can see it as well. I'm gonna tip it on its side so you can see all the colors. It's really soft and moist. It's got a lovely crunchy edge, which is the part everybody wants, is the edges. Nobody wants the middle. And then if you want, you can put a dollop of coop on it. Before it goes in, if you want to like have a sugar topping, sprinkle like a tablespoon of sugar over the top. I never do that step. My family doesn't like it. But that's how easy it is to make cobbler. Just a simple fruit cobbler. It works great for a dessert. It's fast to put together, so if you got company last second, you know, the longest is baking. So if you got an hour's head start, they're coming. Just make it, put it in the oven. They get there, it'll be ready. It'll already be starting to cool, and you can have a nice coffee or tea break with them. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Again, it's a fast, easy one. It makes everybody's, day when they can see, get something sweet at the end of the day. So I usually make it when I get done with work. I put it all together, put it in the oven, let it start baking while I'm making supper. And then it's a nice treat at the end of the day. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave me a like and a comment, and subscribe if you like this content. Definitely let me know if there's some recipe you'd like me to make next. I'm always glad to do that. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.